The solve it involves a value that is between two numbers. You can use a compound inequality to represent this relationship. A compound inequality consists of two distinct inequalities joined by the word and or the word or. The graph of a compound inequality with the word and contains the overlap of the graphs of the two inequalities that form the compound inequality. We can see the diagram below. First, the graph of x is greater than or equal to 3. Then the graph of x is less than or equal to 7. And the compound inequality, x is greater than or equal to 3 and x is less than or equal to 7. The graph of a compound inequality with the word or contains each graph of the two inequalities that form the compound inequality. For example, in the diagram, the graph of x is less than -2, the graph of x is greater than or equal to 1, and the graph x is less than -2 or x is greater than or equal to 1. You can rewrite a compound inequality involving and as a single inequality. For instance, in the inequality above, you can write x is greater than or equal to 3 and x is less than or equal to 7 as 3 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 7. You read this as x is greater than or equal to 3 and less than or equal to 7. Another way to read it is x is between 3 and 7 inclusive. In this example, inclusive means the solutions of the inequality include both 3 and 7. Problem 1. Writing a compound inequality. What compound inequality represents the phrase, graph the solutions? A says all real numbers that are greater than -2 and less than 6. Well, considering the inequality is written this way, n is greater than -2 and n is less than 6, well, -2 is less than n. Note how we've just flipped the first inequality, including the inequality symbol. We've left the n is less than 6 the same because these will feed directly into our compound inequality. -2 is less than n is less than 6. The graph, open dot at -2 because -2 is less than n, and open dot at 6 because n is less than 6, and a line segment connecting them. B, all real numbers that are less than 0 or greater than or equal to 5. Well, we write these inequalities, t is less than 0 or t is greater than or equal to 5. And it turns out these cannot be combined, and this is an or type inequality, and that should make more sense as we look at the graph. T less than 0 means an open dot at 0 and an arrow pointing to the left, all values that are less than 0. And a t greater than or equal to 5 means a solid dot at 5 and an arrow pointing to the right to include all values greater than or equal to 5. And notice how there is no overlap. So no values can be both less than 0 and greater than or equal to 5. That necessitates the word or in our compound inequality. Your turn. For parts A and B below, write a compound inequality that represents each phrase. Graph the solutions.